The US president is to give a speech on Wednesday which will finally reveal his plan to fight the Islamic State militant group. To get more on that, I'm joined live now by Michael Maloof, security analyst and a former Pentagon official. Thanks for joining us. As I just mentioned, Barack Obama, he's going to outline his strategy for dealing with the Islamic State in a number of hours' time. Do you have an idea of what the key points will be?
Well, I think it'll be a three-phase approach, which many folks feel that is perhaps too little too late. First will be the continuation of aerial bombing. The secondly will be support for more troops and the troops that are on the ground, from the Peshmerga to Iraqi forces. And then the third is a decision whether or not to go ahead and bomb inside of Syria. Again, this phased approach is telegraphing to the ISIS leadership just what our intentions are, and we've also announced that we're not going to have boots on the ground, which also is something that we should never be conveying publicly.
And it's also been announced that Obama says he's got the authority for a military campaign. Does he not need the approval of Congress to go ahead with such a venture?
Well, under the War Powers Act, he can operate, I believe, for about 45 days, and he has to report to the Congress. If he is going to commit large bodies of troops, he's absolutely obligated to do so. Now, he can operate as Commander-in-Chief for a specified period of time. Now, he has indicated he intends to go to the Congress. He's called in the leadership, and unlike his experience before, where he said he needed congressional approval to go and bomb Syria, which never occurred, and only because and resulted in him not taking any action. I think this time his tactic is going to be a little different, and so it appears. He's called in the leadership, he's briefed them, and I think that will basically, in effect, constitute going to the Congress so that he can undertake these other limited activities.
Now, the standard viewpoints from experts is that it's going to take 3 years to defeat Islamic State. Can Washington actually spend that much time and effort doing this, fighting the group?
Well, Washington alone cannot do it. It's very clear. It would have to rely on its allies, NATO, and that has created an issue by itself because NATO is really not up to the task. And we've seen that with NATO commitments in Afghanistan. There's no stomach, really, after a decade of war in Afghanistan by either the Europeans or even the people of the United States to re-engage troops on the ground. Secondly, the strategy is also going to call for getting Arab countries to go along. Well, half of them already contribute to ISIS financially and logistically. And secondly, there's a cultural thing within the Arab world that they can't coordinate on their command control. They believe in big armies, and they're unable really to cope with the type of warfare that the ISIS army is undertaking. It's not a ragtag group any longer. These guys are a full-fledged army. They're very well trained. They're very well financed. And to bring in the Arab world to do this, Sunni fighting Sunni, is also creating some potentially political problems between the administration and the other Arab countries.
Okay, just finally, the Islamic State is now stronger than Al-Qaeda, and Washington is their primary enemy. The ultimate fear for the US, of course, is that another 9/11 could occur. How realistic is something like that?
Well, a 9/11 could occur. Now, some of the things that I've been briefing people on is the possibility that ISIS could attack U.S. infrastructure, principally our national grid system. It's very vulnerable right now, and we have ISIS in Latin America, teaming up with the drug cartels, with MS-13. And MS-13 and the drug cartels already exist in 1,200 U.S. cities. The lone wolves that you reported on earlier, there are quite a number of those, and they believe in and are dedicated to ISIS and what it believes in. I might add one other thing in terms of NATO. You have Turkey. Turkey has been a primary source of financing and a conduit for jihadist fighters going into Syria. And it's going to be a question of whether Turkey is actually going to come along, even though it claims it no longer supports ISIS. But in reality, it is. It hasn't closed off its borders. It is taken in oil. And in fact, its interior minister has stated that he looks forward to sending Turkish businessmen into ISIS-occupied Iraq. So
okay.
This is, we're going to have some serious problems ahead of us.
Okay, Michael Maloof, security analyst and former Pentagon official, thank you for your input this hour.